Hello, friends. Welcome back to day three. So hopefully you have been playing full out, posting things in the comments. That's really important to make sure that you play full out. You are here, you're spending your time. Um, Post the stuff in the comments. We're all here for the same reason, so no reason to be shy. Um, and I hope you've done your take six and you spent some time on your why and your identity because that's really part of your roadmap. And it's so important. I don't know that I've emphasized this enough, but when we're on our journey, it's so hard to know where we're going if we haven't labeled it, right? And it sounds silly and sometimes it sounds rudimentary, but we really have to know where we are and where we're headed. So, having your why and having your identity is a huge part of that roadmap. So, today we are going to dive into awareness. And this really is where it all begins. It's so important. And I know I say this with everything this week. I keep saying it's so important, so important, so important. But I specifically took out the most important pieces that I could for this 5 day mini course, this 5 day challenge. And awareness is, again, if we don't know where we are, we don't know where we're going. And, you know, eh, we often think, well, I already know, I don't need to spend time on that. But I'll give you an example. I worked with someone once who they knew they had ADHD, and I think they were relatively new to figuring out what it all meant. Um, but they had severe rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and I didn't realize it until we kind of had been working together a little while and something happened that didn't go their way. And the absolute rage was it was something that I really hadn't seen before in a professional setting. So, and then this person went on to justify feeling the way that they felt. So even though, and look at a lot of times things happen. We have a right to our feelings. We have a right to be hurt. And especially if we, as ADHDers, some of us do have rejection sensitivity. A lot of us do. For a lot of different reasons, but um it isn't that we're not supposed to feel it. But we do have to be able to control what we do with those feelings and those emotions. And emotional outbursts are unfortunately a trait of many ADHDers. And it creates relationship problems, it creates employment problems, it creates problems within the family dynamic. So, um, it can really ruin a person's life. So in this case, this person really did not appear to be aware that they were suffering from rejection sensitivity dysphoria or didn't maybe weren't aware at what their outbursts look like from an onlooker's perspective. Um, so that's just one example, but we really need to pay attention to what we're doing. And and it's not to be judgmental. So this is something really important. When we do this, when we work on becoming very aware, we do not want to judge ourselves. This isn't about judgment or shame or blame or justification or guilt or any of those things. This is being like a bystander, looking on and saying, "Oh, hmm, okay. Um, there's an issue here, and this issue is making me feel bad. So I need to figure out what's going on here and why. So we start by going beyond the obvious, and we need to take a really good, honest look at ourselves. Again, no blame, shame, judgment, guilt, or justification. Just take a real, honest look at ourselves. And it's okay to say, okay, that I didn't handle that situation well at all. It's okay to say I dropped the ball. That's not who I want to be. And again, this goes back to our identity, right? If we want to be the person that other people rely on, we can't be the person who is also always dropping the ball. And we don't get better at being more reliable by acting like it's not our fault and it's not us, it's them, right? So, for instance, instead of saying I'm always late because my husband doesn't do anything and I have to get the kids ready and so everything is on me in the morning. The reality is, if this is your life, this is not something new. I mean, if it happens once and it's new, okay, yeah, of course. But if this is your life, then the problem isn't that your husband isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing, that he's not helping you get the kids ready. If this is your life, you already know that. So the problem is you need to get up earlier. The problem is you probably know how long it takes to get yourself and the kids up and ready to go. But rather than looking at what the real challenge is, and maybe the challenge is I can't get up in the morning. I stay up too late at night and I can't get up in the morning. Maybe the challenge is I don't get my clothes ready, so I'm always rushing around trying to figure out what to wear, what to get put on the kids. What is the real challenge here? So, what happens when we just blame the situation on someone or something else external to us? We don't take responsibility for it. We can't fix it. We can't control what somebody else does. We can't control if our partner chooses not to help us get the kids out the door. We can't do anything about that. But what can we do about the challenges that we have? If the challenge is that you can't get up in the morning, that's the challenge. So you have to be able to be aware of where you're struggling in order to then find ways to fix it. So, let's say you're struggling to get your business off the ground and you're just staring at the computer screen blankly. You don't know where to start. And so you end up doom scrolling on Facebook and you end up buying all kinds of things because you think that buying a new planner and a new desk and a new chair and a new ring light and I'm just looking at everything here that I bought. Um, that you think that, buying all of these things is going to help you get down to the task at hand. Um, but if you're not aware of what the real problem is, then you're just going to continue to try to get these dopamine boosts other places. And it's never going to get you to fix the problem that you're having. And maybe the problem that you're having is you don't know how to create a website. Maybe your problem is you are, you're pretty good at the thing, but there are areas where you need to learn more. Maybe the challenge is you don't know how to do um, Excel, work with Excel, and so you need to take a course on working in Excel or Canva or um, I don't know, any one of these. I'm looking at a bunch of my apps that are up, and there are probably quite a few that I'm not sure that I know how to operate very well. But if that's a problem that's making you stare at the computer screen, you might not necessarily realize that until you actually sit with yourself and sit with the problem and say, okay, why can't I just start working? Well, why can't you just start working? And sometimes that takes us just being really quiet and paying attention to ourselves and asking the questions. So be curious. Um, again, be I only have a couple slides here, but be an observer, not a judge. So you don't want to judge yourself. You don't want to say, well, I'm just staring at the computer screen blank because I'm stupid. I just don't know. I don't know how to do this. I'm a failure. That's not how we're looking at this. We're looking at it saying, okay, there's a challenge here. And we have to remember this is something that ADHDers, we think that everybody else in the world has it figured out except us. That we really are so different from everyone else. While we are different and our brains do work differently, the reality is neurotypical people have these same problems. Neurotypical people also stare at a blank computer screen. But a lot of times they also have been able to just move forward a little bit easier than we do. Some because in a lot of cases, we're looking at the whole picture. And so the list of challenges can be enormous and we get overwhelmed. And we might be looking at that computer screen because we're saying, it's not only that we have to learn Canva, and it's not only that we have to learn how to create a website, it's also we have to learn social media, we have to learn um, a, a mail app, we have to learn a webinar app, whatever it is. There might be a ton of things that we have to learn, and then we get overwhelmed, and then we get frozen. We're like, there's no way I can do that. That's why we need to make sure that we're tackling one thing at a time. So we're going to notice our challenges, become aware of our challenges, and the things that we need to work on now. But we don't want to get overwhelmed with it. We don't want to get um just because we're aware of it doesn't mean everything needs fixing right now. So we first start with becoming aware of what the challenge is, what the roadblock is, why we can't get there. That's the first step. Okay. Accept our differences. Accept the fact that we can't get up in the morning, maybe, or, we can't get, and I'm saying can't, right? In our That's a whole another session, but I'm saying it that's how we say it, right? We can't get up in the morning. We can't get to work on time. We can't do all these things. Well, we can do them. We just do them differently. We just have to figure out how to address those challenges. So we want to accept that we are going to have to maybe approach this a little bit different than other people. And I know for ADHDers, a lot of times we don't like to go back to basics because it makes us feel like we're children. So a lot of my clients really resist setting alarms on their phone. And because they feel like sometimes I'll say, look, set 4 alarms. You need to set one for your start time. You need to set one after 15 minutes. You need to set one again. You need to do a countdown, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on the thing. But there are times that I will tell my clients to set 4 alarms, and they're like, "Mm, uh, that seems a little ridiculous." Look, whatever way we manage to overcome our challenges is not ridiculous. We need to accept that there are some things that we might need to handle a little bit differently. And that's okay. That's okay. The way we do something may not look the way a neurotypical person does it or anybody else does it. It doesn't matter. This is our journey. This is the way we do it. We are constructing and designing our life that works for us. We are all unique individuals. So don't be afraid to set 4 alarms or 5 alarms. Um, and I'm not talking about for wake up. That's a whole nother topic. But when I'm saying alarms or alerts, sometimes we need motivators or um, time punches if we are working on something. And maybe if time blindness is an issue for you, you might need to have these alerts set up so that you can, oh, that's 15 minutes. Okay. All right. And now I can only work on this for 30 minutes. And for some of us, when we hyper focus, especially on something, if that alarm goes off at 30 minutes when we're supposed to be done, sometimes it can be jarring and we can actually get angry. So wait a minute, I'm not ready yet. I need to continue and so we'll work through that. So sometimes it does require an alert that's going to stop us in 15 minutes or let us know that, okay, it's 15 minutes. And then 5 minutes later, okay, we have 10 minutes left. Okay, now we have 5 minutes left. And it kind of gets us prepared to end a task. So, that's just one example of a different way to maybe handle a challenge, if that's the type of challenge you have. We all have very different challenges, but there are also a ton of tools that we can use to address those challenges. But until we're honest with ourselves about what the challenges are, we can't start to work on fixing them. So we also have to look at our inner struggles. And, if we're stuck somewhere, maybe we're stuck because of an inner challenge, an inner belief, um, a limiting belief, a roadblock. So are you stuck because, you're afraid of something? if if you say that, if you spend some time with yourself and you're like, why can't I do this? Especially in the context of some big change, like buying a new house, changing jobs, starting a business, any big event, we we will, it's normal to be stuck and be afraid and be frozen. Um, so ask yourself, am I afraid? And just start being curious. Listen to your body give you the answers. So, if you're like, am I afraid of something? No, 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 that's not it. Okay, then move on. But a lot of times, if we say, am I afraid of something? We're going to feel it. If we are indeed afraid, we're going to feel it. And I say gut instinct, but it can be in your gut, it can be in your chest, it can be in your throat, it can be in your head. So different people feel it in different places, but you know the feeling. As soon as you say it, even if you're just saying it in your head, you immediately get that feeling. So if you're afraid, what is it that you're afraid of? Are you afraid that your product or service isn't good enough? Do you maybe have to do a little bit more work to make sure that it is? Are you afraid that if you fail, you're going to lose money? Or are you afraid that if you do well, that then you're going to be stuck in this hamster wheel again and you're not going to have time for family and maybe you're going to get overwhelmed and everything is going to crash and burn. What are you afraid of? Really dig into that and let your body give you the answers. If you continue to ask questions, your body's going to tell you, no, that's not it. That's not it. If you are in therapy at all, I know my therapist will do that and she'll ask questions and I'm like, nope, nope, that doesn't resonate. Nope, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. until maybe she hits on something and I'm like, oh, oh, there's something there. So then we know that that's a place that we should dive into. So that's the kind of awareness that you want to have. You want to figure out what is going on before you can figure out how to then address it. So, oh, I just lost my notes. That's okay because I know what I was going to talk about anyway. Um, and when we were looking at, fixing some of these problems, so if, for instance, you're staring at the screen blank because it's a tedious task and you just don't want to do it. And we've all been there. So, maybe you can look at ways to make the task not so tedious because we understand that ADHDers, we crave urgency, novelty, interest, and challenge. So if it's a tedious task, it doesn't have any of those things, right? So how can we add urgency, novelty, interest, and challenge into maybe a tedious task? When I was a kid, the only way my bedroom would get clean is if my sister and I had a race to see whose side of the room could get clean first or who could pick up the most stuff. Um, so don't be afraid to develop a challenge for yourself. It could be maybe just a 15-minute sprint. I do that often. When I have a tedious task, I'm like, oh boy, I really just don't want to do this. I'd very much rather doom scroll for a half hour. Um, but if I say, okay, I'm going to do a 15-minute sprint and then I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to do whatever, I will reward myself, but I'm going to do 15 minutes full out. I'm just going to dive into this for 15 minutes and I'll set my timer for 15 minutes and go. So, those are just some ideas. So, what you want to do when you're really looking at, and remember, this is related to the goal, the one thing that we are focusing on. And that will help us keep from getting too overwhelmed by all of our challenges and all of the solutions that we need to come up with. So, if we are just focusing on the goal that we are looking to achieve right now, what are some of the challenges? Make a list. And it could be things like staying on task, waking up early, remembering to meal prep if eating healthy is your thing. Finding the time to do this and getting motivated to do it. And then on the right side, you're going to start to brainstorm and come up with solutions. So when you're thinking of your challenges, you're going to continue to make this list. This list is it's a living list. It's going to keep growing because the more you start to dive in and become aware, the more you realize that ADHD affects so much because it affects it affects us doing the task. It affects us emotionally, our emotional regulation. It affects our sleep. So all of those things could be part of our challenge. And then we need to come up with solutions. And I mean, you can feel free to steal some of my solutions here. Um, but doing the 15-minute sprints or alternating between difficult tasks and easy tasks, making it a game. Um, if if finding the time is an issue, is that a justification? This is where awareness really comes into play. Are you saying, I don't have the time to have a workout routine? I have to get up with the kids and I have to do this and I have to do that. Well, yes, that's true. But also, we can find time. If you are finding time in your day to doom scroll, then you can find time to add in a workout routine. The reality is, I don't want to. And that's normal for ADHDers. I talk about it all the time. I don't want to. I just don't want to. And a lot of times, even when I have discovered a solution for something, I'll use it for a while. and it'll be great. And then, I hit that wall and I'm just like, I don't want it today. I don't want to. And then I have to go back into the awareness. All right, why am I struggling with this today? Did I not sleep well last night? Did I not eat well? Is there something else going on in my life? What is creating this? I don't wanna. So we might have to add that to our challenges. So don't be afraid to continue to add. And when you hit a roadblock, maybe something has been working and then all of a sudden it's not working anymore, go back and start to be curious and check your awareness. What am I missing? What's new? What's happening? Um, what maybe I'm just bored with the solution. Maybe I'm bored with the solution. Maybe I just need to find another solution and dig into that because again, novelty, even our solutions, we need novelty in our solutions. So sometimes we just get bored of doing the same thing even though it's worked. We need to find something new. So that's what I want you to work on really getting aware of your challenges, being brutally honest with yourself, non-judgmental, just curious. Just, all right, what's going on here? Being really honest with yourself and then coming up with solutions. So that's what I want you to work on today, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Um, Make sure you pop in the comments and just put a challenge and a solution that you've had. That'll help your other ADHD sisters. Maybe it's a solution that they hadn't thought of yet. So we're always looking for some good solutions. So help your sisters out. Post in the comments a challenge and a solution. And tomorrow, make sure that you come here and do your take six and really spend some time on your why and your identity before you dive into day four. But this is it for today. Thanks for being here and joining me on this. And I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow.